While Xcode 13 added some major features like Doxy or Vim mode or source control integration or Xcode Cloud, Xcode 14 returns to the basics to add some real polish to the whole experience, making it faster and smarter to use. In this video, I want to walk you through the major improvements in Xcode 14, including some even Apple haven't mentioned yet, plus some I'm not too sure about myself yet, plus a few workarounds for that as we go. Anyway, there's lots to get through, so let's get started. This is a bumper year once again for Xcode's source editor. The way we type text into Xcode is just getting better and better, smarter and smarter, honestly in ways I hadn't even imagined. For example, let's say we had in our code a player struct. I could say struct player has an ID, UUID, and then a name string, and then a score 0. I'll make this struct conform to the identifiable protocol. Now, because this thing's a struct, SwiftUI is able to make for us a member-wise initializer with an ID, name, and score, but it's very common to want to change it a little bit. I keep everything the same, but just change one little bit. And now I can do that with code completion. You just write init, then return, and it'll fill in the default initializer for you, copying the values across exactly as you've had before. But it's our code now. We can customize it. We could say score needs to be min 0, for example. Don't go below 0 as our score. This also works for things like the codable protocol. I could say that our player is identifiable and codable, and now just start typing encode and fill in the default codable implementation. Again, this is all boilerplate stuff. You don't want to do it yourself, but you have to do it yourself right now. And with this in place, get that boilerplate in place and then go ahead and customize the bits you care about. Maybe override the score with some custom logic, for example, while the rest stays the same. This is really, really nice for getting rid of all that boilerplate functionality. So that's a great improvement. Moving on though, we might say, I want an array of these players belonging to my SwiftUI view. I might say in our content view here, we have a bunch of players, and here Xcode does something very, very interesting. If I do let players be a new array of player, you will see ID, name, and score appear, great, but ID and score are slightly faded and italic, meaning that these things have default values, so Xcode will not autocomplete them for us. If I press return now, it will just player name. And this works well in so many places like this. I might say there's a player called Danny and another player called Jamie. I love Ted Lasso. Let's Roy, and then do player Sam. It works brilliantly for that. It's super fast to do. There are places where it works less well though. For example, if you're trying out the new Swift Charts framework, import charts, and then said down here, there is a new chart with a bar mark inside, you'll see a bunch of ways of making bar marks. X, Y, width, height, stacking, X star, X, N, Y, da, da, da. You go through these things and think, oh, the one I want is that one. X star, X, N, Y, height, stacking. That's the one I want right there. When you press enter now, it fills in just Y. And you can see why. That's the only one which has the bold letter. The rest are faded and italic. They will not be filled in. And it's frustrating because I sort of went through and said, I want, that's the one I chose. Fill it in, please. And it doesn't do it. You've got to try and remember the ones you want, which is frustrating. There are workarounds. One of which is if you hold down the Option key, it all turns Roman and white as opposed to faded and italic, meaning that it'll all autocomplete. So I press bar mark and choose that one and hit return, bang, in they all go. That's one option. Another is that you can actually type part of parameter names to fill them in. So if I had like bar M and did X, X start lights up, I'll do X again, X end lights up, then we'll do like height for H and S for stacking. So bar M, XXHS fills in all those values. You can see they're in bold now, it's matched them. And you basically fill in the ones you actually want. So I just do, let's say, bar M, XX. Boom, I'll get the ones that require those values. And sometimes you can just skip the actual function name entirely. This is even cleverer. If I had said, let's do a frame width of 100, whatever, you can just do dot width and it'll fill in frame width for you. So you might find doing, width H, for example, is the best way of doing frame width and height. So there's a short way of doing it to work around the new completion options. Anyway, another change you might have just seen briefly if you look really closely was the way code completion collapses overloads. And it's particularly useful in SwiftUI code, but it's very, very common to have functions that have the same name, the same parameter list, same return type, but the parameter types vary. Usually string protocol, a text, a localized string key, all otherwise the same. And any function like this that varies only on the type of parameters will be collapsed down to a single line in Xcode. For example, if I'd said something like our chart has a badge, you'll see badge count has an int. There's nothing else there but an int. But over here on the right, it'll say +3 more. There are 3 extra overloads that match that type, varying on the parameters type directly. If you press the right arrow, it'll all fold out. So you can see a text, localized string key, and string protocol are all there. And it means there's much, much less clutter in our code completion. You focus on what you want to do and then fold out from there, which is, I think, very, very nice. There are some new code completions that honestly took me by surprise when I first saw them. For example, if you type lplay, because it's a list with players, lplay, it'll fill in this whole code. Boom. It fills in the whole list with player names. Danny, Jamie, Roy, and Sam become a scrollable list immediately. Absolutely brilliant. The amount of work it's doing here in one completion is remarkable. It's detecting our array exists, array of players. It converts that to a list. It then singularizes players to player in, and then reads out a string property from there to display in the text thing. I think it's going to choose the first string property in the list. So should we find out? If we had something like var club, we'll make that AFC Richmond, obviously. I had the same thing here of lplay. Yeah, so player name still coming out there. It appears first in the list, I think. I put club before that. It might be something different. Let's find out. lplay. Oh, it's still doing name. Oh, it's very clever. What it's doing, I don't know. It's very, very clever. Who knows? Very good logic here. It's getting something out there correctly, which is brilliant. We might say actually here we only want the player names. Why have all the list of players going in? It's a sneaky way to reveal another little Xcode code completion. If you type let names equals PL, it'll complete players.map $0.name. And it's not just always using name again here. If I had, let scores equals PL, it'll do players.map $0.score. It is singularizing the constant name scores and looking for a property of the same name in the type to find score. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it so much. And there are stacks of, smaller changes here too. For example, if I said, actually, I want to put my list in a navigation stack, for example, I'll put it before like that, and then go to the end of it, and then just do a closing brace. And it jumps in one level immediately, keeping the formatting consistent. That was something I had to do so many times before. It saves me 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, again, again, again. A lovely, lovely change. In fact, when I first saw it, I actually pressed undo. I was like, did that really happen? Because it's such a nice little tweak, Anyway, lovely thing. Another small change is the removal of automatic module import that was added in Xcode 13. This seems to be causing too many problems. If I make a new file here, a new Swift file, and make one called settings.swift. So if I had here a struct called settings here, and this was going to store some information about the user, like their username, string, and then a avatar color. This thing comes from SwiftUI, which is not imported. And previously, it would have done an automatic import. It would have added import SwiftUI up here straight away, which often is what you want. But sometimes you made a little typo, completed the wrong type by accident, and it's put in the wrong import at the top, kind of cluttering things or perhaps introducing build errors in the wrong platforms. It won't do it anymore. Instead, it becomes a fix-it. We can't find color. That comes from SwiftUI, and so in here, it'll say, let's import SwiftUI. Another little tweak, making the whole thing really, really nice. And last but not least, I love this feature so much. In Content View, you might have noticed as I scroll around, look at struct player at the top, it'll become sticky. It'll say you are now in struct player as you scroll around, and then initialize sticks, and then encode sticks, and the whole thing will unstick as Content View comes into play. These little sticky headers will basically automatically keep pinned whatever type or function, whatever you're in right now, just giving you a little bit of extra context. This is where you are, what you were doing which is great for longer files or longer methods or structs or similar. Okay, I could talk about the source editor all day. There's some lovely, lovely changes here. I haven't even touched them all, quite frankly. There's more than this. But obviously, Xcode 14 comes with many improvements beyond just the way we enter code. First, just like Playgrounds 4, Xcode 14 now comes with SF symbols built in up in the library, which is press this button here, or by going to Shift-Command-L. And it is the full set of SF symbols. Just go through and search, let's do all the figure shapes, for example, these ones here. They're all there. And this works really, really nicely. But I would say it seems to use, at least right now, my Mac's built-in symbols, not the symbols for the platform I'm targeting. For example, my current target is iOS 16, which has got SF symbols 4. And this is the SF symbols 3.x selection here. And if you do the same search in SF symbols itself, down here, this is the figures in there. There are lots more, all in SF symbols 4, which is not on macOS 12.4 Monterey. But my app target is 16, and so I'd like to think they could find a way of saying, you're targeting 16, let's show all the 16 symbols in that list, rather than just showing my Mac's current symbols. Perhaps before release, we'll see. Second, Xcode can now automatically make all versions of an icon from one single icon, which is really, really nice. I went to my Unwrap wrap-up, for example, down here into the asset catalog. You'll see my icon has a sort of plain-ish blue gradient with a little white bird design. And it's the same at various sizes I've made so far. I haven't done all of them because I don't think anyone does that. But I've done most of them. And it's the same icon. This kind of thing here would work great being automatically made by Xcode for me. And to do that, just go ahead and select your app icon up here, go to the inspector, and then choose iOS single size. And it'll collapse it down to a single icon and make all the smaller ones from that at build time, which is amazing. Before you go off and do that for all your projects, there's an important warning here. It does not work well for some kinds of icons. If you have no small details, if you have chunky lines or solid colors, solid shapes, it's probably fine. It's all certainly fine, in fact. But for more complex icons, you're going to find scaling them down automatically loses detail and looks blurry or fuzzy, or you lose things, it looks a bit weird. A little bit extra hinting, spending the time to draw the smaller icons will go a long way. And you can see an example of this in the control room icon, which is here. This is done by a professional artist. He did all the icons for me. At the biggest size, basically the same thing. You can go down various things, it gets more or less the same. It's a bit chunkier at 256. A bit more depth coming in here. You can see the sort of the 3D effect here is getting a bit chunkier. So it stands out better at smaller icons. As you go smaller again, it starts to get even chunkier. So it stands out better at increasingly small sizes. And then when you get right the way down, we lose the double thing here. We get one single thing instead. All the icons, these things go away. It's just too small. It's been designed to look good at that size. And it's a 32 by 32 icon. It's tiny, right? But it does matter. That kind of icon has detail. And so it doesn't look so good when scaled down automatically. This kind of icon, solid shapes, simple lines, and so forth, does look good. Nice chunky artwork there will scale just fine. Moving on. Doc.C has received another major upgrade this year, adding support for app projects too, which is amazing. So I go to, for example, my simple news project here. I can say product build documentation. Have a little think, and boom, here we go. Here's my simple news docs here. I can choose, article or content view, and just browse my docs pulled out from the code directly, which is really, really nice. It didn't work in Xcode 13. It only handled external packages. Now it handles apps as well, which is really nice. So my built-in stuff here. It's not perfect. If I try the same thing with Unwrap, which is a much larger project, let's do build docs here. It doesn't work. It does its best. Has a good old think. Gets to 700 or so building and then dies. There we go. Dead. Trying to extract API. I don't know. Again, beta 1. Early days yet. It's going to get better. It'll be stable before it ships, I'm sure. When it does work though, it's brilliant because you can now get your entire project in one place. So, newcomers to your team or someone joining, whatever, can see all the docs to your project in one place. They can just browse through and have that nice jump off point to other parts of the project. And of course, actually, you can now export to GitHub as well, really easily from Doc.C. It's really, really nice. Fourth, the chooser that handles the devices you want to run on has been tweaked a little bit to show recent types here. So you can see I've been using iPad Air, iPhone 13 Pro Max, and iPad Pro are all at the top now under recent. So it makes it faster to flip between all the various things you want to work with. Maybe like one small iPhone, one large iPhone, and then an iPad, for example. Quick flips between all those. It's really, really nice. And saving the best till last, we have, by default now, live previews. They're always live. There's no easy, obvious, play and stop button anymore. They're just always live, which is really, really nice. And on Apple Silicon Macs like mine, the performance is incredible. It's like maybe a quarter-second delay between making a change and it being live, if that, if not less than that. It's extremely fast. If I were like to go to article row, for example, or let's say content view here, I could pin the one I wanted to, like this one here, is pin that one, then go to article row, and then make tweaks here, like the corner radius will be 20 or 30, and it's just live straight away with no delay. So you get these really, really fast turnaround of your designs because it's just instant all the time, which is really, really nice. That's cool. I love it very much. It's a neat feature, but the biggest difference here is that we now have this wonderful variants button down here, which honestly, people are going to love. They're going to go wild for this because you just press on variants and say, show me this at various dynamic types, sizes, or whatever, and it'll pull in all the sizes that, downloading stuff, and small, medium, large, extra large, all the way up down to here to AX5, the largest one of that type. And you can show me light and dark mode or whatever you want to. It's very, very fast to see variants in one place, which is a fantastic way to compare text choices, layout choices very, very quickly, while of course having the live mode just, one click away, which is cool. And this is very, very helpful. I think folks are going to love it. I would say it does sadly break away. I was using previews increasingly, which was to have a previews file for one set of things I cared about. For example, here, I'm previewing the content view and the reading view and the article row at the same time. So I could change one and see how it reflects elsewhere in the program. These views are all connected or all reuse the same view, for example. How do they look side by side? This basically recreates the old UI kit style storyboard. So obviously your whole layout all at once. That no longer works so well. When Xcode sees this kind of preview, it'll now make tabs like this, so you can switch between them using tabs, which is, it's better than nothing. It's not quite as fast as we had before. Honestly though, having the instant playback and having the variants is way better than having this other older style doing previews. So on balance, it's an improvement. So that's changes to Doc.C and previews and so forth. There's also this release a renewed focus on speed. Now, Apple made a huge splash around performance. Build performance is way, way faster, up to 2 times faster linking, 25% faster building, 30% faster testing. It's just faster. Honestly, though, the thing I think will impact big projects the most is the new build timeline. And it'll show exactly how Xcode spent its time while trying to build your code. To try it yourself, go ahead and load up a decent sized project. I'll do unwrap again down here, and then choose product, and then choose perform action, and then build with timing summary, like that. And I'll go ahead and build the project in hopefully a few seconds. Very fast Mac again. There we go, it's finished. And then under build here, I'll choose my build today, and boom, here's my timeline. If you don't see that, you'll find it by just right-clicking on timing summary and choosing show in timeline. This is it here. This is a timeline of saying what I did from left to right, 1 second, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. What it was doing. You can see there's stacks of work happening here. I suspect, if I had to count here, I'm expecting it's like 20 of these things because it's a 20-core Mac. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, yeah, exactly 20. Because it's a M1 Ultra, it's very, very fast, 20 cores, it's using them all. It's using every one of these things here to get the best result it can. But you can see it's doing A, then B, then C, always really doing its best to get the data done. A lot of time doing asset catalogs, so obviously a thing to optimize in the future, but it's really great for seeing problem files where things have become a time sink. For example, for me, in control room, if I do a build in here, again, product, perform action, timing summary. There we go, and my build, badoom. Let's see what we've got here. Do a clean build perhaps, Hudson, that might work better. Perform action, again, timing summary please. Otherwise just kind of cheating, isn't it really? That's it, nice clean build, otherwise it's timing Switzerland. Okay, and now the build. There we go. So also, again, I assume that's 20 files. I'm not sure what it's doing there, 20 processes. But you can see it finishes all those and then spends like a good sort of 2.5 seconds compiling one .m file, one Objective-C file that kind of links the underlying core simulator framework. The rest of the time is just doing Swift. So you can see if I were to optimize anywhere in my build time, I'd be targeting this one file first. It is by far the slowest, which is really, really cool. So you can spot problems in your code, and you can see your Xcode is working very, very hard to parallelize stuff, which is cool. For a first iteration, this is great. You can see that file, this build, whatever, is slow. Try and do better. I hope it expands in future versions of Xcode because, Swift is actually able to track and produce function by function compile times. This thing took a very long time to type check, maybe like 1 second alert. And it'd be great to be able to sort of say, well, what inside main view.swift was slow, and, zoom in to see inside there what exactly was slow and get more information at a more granular level. It's there in Swift. This is the overview in Xcode. Just kind of put the two together, please, Apple. You could do it. Xcode 15. We'll see. Anyway, before I'm done, there is one last performance improvement I have to mention because you'll see it before we even launch Xcode 14. Apple put Xcode back on a diet. It's much, much smaller now because it only includes the SDKs for macOS and iOS out of the box. When you first run it, it'll say, do you want to install tvOS or watchOS at that point? This means the download is faster, the unzip is faster, you'll get up and running faster, which is great. You then choose the ones you want as you need them. For example, in my project here, or my Xcode, I haven't installed tvOS and iOS. So I make a new project, I will see watchOS here, but it'll also tell me you haven't got watchOS 9 installed. Do you want to get it now? So you can actually play it back. So you can go ahead and write your code and stuff, but it can't build it, it can't run it until you actually install the SDK for it, which is really, really cool. So that's Xcode 14. We're seeing the source editor get smarter and smarter. We're seeing common developer problems like app icons being simplified, Doc.C for apps. We're seeing SF Symbols integration working very nicely. We're seeing major power-ups of SwiftUI previews, a renewed focus on performance. This is such a great upgrade. I really don't want to go back to Xcode 13. I want to use 14 all the time now, even from beta 1, which is great. Once any initial bugs are fixed, and I'm looking at you, Doc.C, build my unwrapped thing. It's open source on GitHub. Check it out. It'll be a great release. I'm looking forward to it. But then the focus will move on to Xcode 15. What's going to happen next year? I keep on hoping to see code gen for assets, so be able to do, a SwiftUI image of .logo rather than having logo in as a string. Things like extensions to have extra functionality from third-party developers and much, much more. There's still scope here. And of course, hopefully some more source editor surprises too. It gets cleverer and clever. Anyway, what do you most want to see in Xcode 15 next year? Is it one of those two things? Is it something else? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, take care, folks.